In this episode of Madhouse, we speak to Anselem, also known as Ask ANK on YouTube, about his love for computer graphics and his passion to educate others about it. Enjoy the episode. So Anselem, just how to pronounce your name? Anselem. How to pronounce your name?
Anselem.
Oh, Anselem.
It's Anselem.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
unlike so many other ones where you see it's ANSLEM or ANSELM.
Yeah.
Mine has the double E. So it's Anselem.
Anselem.
Yeah.
So I nailed it. Yeah. Right. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an artist called, there's a podcast I did with an artist called Mala. I can't even pronounce his name after Nigerian. I give up. I'm just going to call you Mala for life because the other names I'm done. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I never do intros. I just get into it. I'll do the intro later. I'll record the full intro. Yeah. So Anselem, just tell us who you are, what you do. Yeah. Just for context so that listeners know. Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Yeah. My name is Anselem Nkoro. Yeah. I am an instructor currently at the Eastern Mediterranean University, Department of Visual Arts and Visual Communication Design, and majorly in the program of animation and games. I'm also a public speaker. I've been opportunity to give a couple of talks from TEDx to just normal university talks and grooming of final year students. And right now, I'm also a YouTuber. So I create content for 3D for the 3D community. Yeah. And at the same time, try to reach out to as many people that I can, and also receive a lot of questions from different upcoming 3D artists. Just create that environment where people can ask questions and also get answers, depending on what the schedule looks like. So that is who this guy is.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm curious, how did it start for you? Where did it start from you? Did it start where you did you know you were going to get into the whole 3D animation game stuff early on as a child, or were you sort of introduced to it and then you're I like that? How do I get it? But I'm very curious, Ali Anselem as a baby, was really toddler. How did it start for you? Where did it start for you? Yeah.
So it's like this, while growing up, I did watch a lot of animes. I watched a lot of cartoons. Yeah. My family is a very animation-driven family.
Oh, wow.
Funny enough, I have no idea where this comes from.
Yeah.
It's interesting that my parents they do buy a lot of VHS. Different animations at that time.
Yeah.
But they don't watch cartoons. So I ended up growing up to see. Yeah, I grew up seeing lots and lots of animations. And, started off with sketching them. Yeah. Sketch them, cut them, hang them on the wall, place them by the bedside.
Yeah.
And I think I've always had this curious mind trying to know how these things work.
Yeah.
But funny enough, I did my first degree in computer science. So I was thinking, okay, maybe if I study computer a lot, I might learn how to create these things, because they normally say things like, oh, these things are built in the computer.
Yeah.
So I was saying, okay, maybe if I study computer science, I might know how to build these things.
Yeah, very true.
There's just a whole lot of complexities with how that situation came about. But it was during my second or my third year that I found this app called, I think I started off with an app called AC3D. That was an app like that. So
the old 3D app. Weird. I remember it's just weird.
It was very weird. It was way old, AC3D. Yeah. So I was testing that out, and then there was a senior colleague that came around. Yeah. He's popularly known as Joe Diablo. Yeah. So he came around and he said, why are you using this app? I said, I can build stuff and I can look around them. Yeah. So he kind of said, okay, why not try out these two?
Yeah.
So he showed me 3D Studio Max then. So I was so excited about 3D Studio Max. So he said before he can let me have a ride with the app, I need to be able to, create something in that AC3D. And, AC3D is more like, what do you call it? An evaluation tool. So it works like 30 days in, 30 days out or something like that. So you have to use it for 30 days. And yeah. So way back before the advent of, all the flash drives, what I did was I split the files into so many folders and just connected these things and slotted them in the floppy disk. So once I'm done, just specifically for that app, I format the PC. I format the PC and copy those files all the way back in.
Oh my God!
So I kept doing that till I think I made my first model. Yeah. I made my first model and I showed him and he was like, okay, this looks good.
Yeah.
So I think my first model was what? It was like the local pistol and the mortar for pounding stuff, the local African pistol and mortar.
Like for mounting groundnuts and things like that.
And he was like, how long did stuff like that. The wooden one.
So the wooden one.
He was like, okay, so how long did it take you? I told him and he was like, okay. And so later on, he now gave me the app.
Okay.
That was how it started off for me.
Nice.
SketchUp. And the thing, tell me.
No, you were saying SketchUp.
I found out SketchUp then. So
okay.
Yeah, I found out SketchUp, the Google SketchUp then. Then it was still Google SketchUp. So tried it out for a while.
Yeah.
And then tried the 3D Studio Max. Yeah. And because this guy was graduating that semester, I wasn't able to get a lot from him. So I ended up reading the documentation for God knows how long. So
you've just said something very interesting. When I think I was like about 15, you just said something so interesting. I was very fascinated with Photoshop. Then it was like Photoshop, and then I think it came with the second thing called like image something. Like just like two pieces of software as Photoshop, like a Photoshop
an
7.
Image viewer.
Yeah, image viewer. Some like, and I remember like the one internet. I was in a place with no internet and stuff. So like to learn Photoshop, I had to read the whole manual step by step to like understand how Photoshop works. So when you said like you read the whole manual, I was just like, wow, that reminded me of like a time where like for me to learn Photoshop, I had to like do all that. That's interesting. And what year is this? What that you like doing this 3D stuff? Because I say 3D is really old.
I think I started off in 2006. Sorry, 2006.
Yeah, 2006. Yeah, that feels right. That feels right.
Yeah, because then you get by the disc. Actually, you know what? I did buy. Now I'm thinking about it. I did buy a CD drive.
Yeah.
Just to be able to rip that stuff from a CD. Because the PC I was using then, it had a CD drive. It was like the old IBM, those ones that looks like a truck.
Yeah. I know.
The old IBM. Yeah. The ones, those type that sits on the floor and then the monitor sits on top.
Yes, I've seen those, yes.
And then you have like this magnificent Nokia sort of brick-like keyboard. And the mouse with just two buttons on the top and the roller on the that was the type. That was the type.
Nice. Wow. That is really, and it's so interesting when you say this, that how like the technology has upgraded in such a short time. You know what I mean? Like that's so weird that people don't know. Like when people are like, hey man, remember like 3D, like when, like for instance, Blender, you know what I mean? In Blender in 2000 was not what it looks like now. And like just 20 years down, it's just like, oh my God, like
True.
It's like what you get, like it's just like, oh my God, like it's really shaped forward. So after computer science, I'm just curious, how did you now decide to do like 3D and animation? How did that sort of conversation go for you, and what made you sort of go like, okay, I think I want to do like something?
So the thing there is, in computer science, I wrote a lot of programs. And the thing was, I was building apps.
Yeah.
And these apps were pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was writing things like I started off with QBasic. Then I learned Fortran, and I figured out that Fortran was just something way backwards.
Yeah.
Then I learned Java, and then C++, then C#. Then I wrote for Visual Studio, for Visual Basic for Visual Studio.
Yeah.
And within this time, I just wanted to see how to make something move. Like, you know, when you're doing something and you're so happy about it, but then you're not satisfied.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, there must be something. There must be.
Only processing.
And all of a sudden, I now found a software called Flash.
Yeah. the processing of those days.
Flash, and Flash.
Yeah.
And Flash itself was made available by the folks called Micromedia. So Micromedia were the owners of Flash before Adobe, but so they owned a couple of softwares. They own Flash, they own Firewall, they own called Dreamweaver.
Yeah.
They own a couple of cool
Fireworks.
Tools. So I just wanted to know how to make things move. So I found that Fireworks here. So I found out that there's a script called Action Script.
Okay.
I said, okay, so this makes sense. So Action Script is not so far from what you can get. I mean, once you're into object-oriented programming, you now know, okay, so this, I'm defining this as a shape, then I can define a sprite, I can define an action, I can define a movement. Yeah. And despite that, there's something called keyframe and tweening. Yeah. So I was like, okay, so this makes sense. So I can call an action and actually execute it. Yeah. You can throw an exception and catch the exception, things like that. So those things were making sense. So I quickly started switching to Flash. Not really switch, but I started integrating Flash things into the apps.
Okay.
So Visual Basic at that point, if you do something, you can actually embed something called SWF, which was a shockwave file. You can embed a shockwave file into your Visual Basic stuff. So I was doing that, but that point where you want to take lemonade and you eat the back of a lemon and you know you're getting close, but that's not lemonade.
Yeah.
So it looks good, it's nice, but I want to see the back of this object.
Yeah.
I want to see the back. I want to see. I want to be able to create something so I can see it every time. I can turn it up and down. Yeah. And I think that is where the curiosity started, because for me, at the point I now said, now I am thinking, what if in fact, that was within that time I started becoming too interested in understanding that 3D stuff. Then I met the Joe Menike guy called Joe Diablo.
Okay.
So from there, I started asking questions like, how can I make a 3D object move when I push a button? Because I already knew keyframes. I already knew modeling. Yeah. But what about movement?
Yeah.
So they said you can choose to animate it or make a game. So I said, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll learn how to make a game.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So within that time, I learned how to make a game. There's this old game engine. I can't remember the name now, but it's pretty old. So I tried out with that one. Yeah. And that was really nice. But afterwards, I now found out that there were some other game engines that you could use.
Yeah.
CryEngine was there, but I did not have the computer power to use it. I didn't have the computer power to use it.
I wonder if CryEngine still has any computer that can work with it. Even up to today, I don't know if there's any hardware that can handle CryEngine, but let's keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. So CryEngine was there. I just couldn't deal with that. And then at a point I just said, maybe if I learn how to make these characters move in a particular order.
Yeah.
So, it's just about curiosity. I've just been very curious about it.
Yeah.
Maybe on a phone and somebody could just move it around. What if I can make this 3D model move? What if I can make this 3D model jump?
Yeah.
And within that time, everything I was learning was documentation. Like there was literally no place where you could go. The internet was not all of that. You actually go to a cafe for the sole purpose of downloading a trial version. Like that is the main goal. You wake up in the morning, you dust your shoes. Tonight, I'm downloading a trial version.
And those things were big.
Yeah,
then, like 2 GB, 500 MBs, and you're thinking, yeah, it's a lot. Like
sweet lot.
Yeah, takes like 4 hours to download 500 MBs.
You know what happened? There's something called all night. So cafes in my country then, which is Nigeria, cafes in Nigeria then, what they do is they run something called all night.
Yeah.
So what all night is you pay a certain money and you stay in the cafe from 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh wow!
Like from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And I was like one of the best guys ever for that. I was like one of the best guys ever for that. So what happens is this, like you just go to the cafe and first things you need to do once you go to the cafe, this was like an old hack.
Yeah.
First things you need to do once you go to the cafe is download internet downloader. Like that's the first thing you do. Within your first 1 or 2 hours, you download an internet downloader.
Yeah. So it doesn't break the
Why?
download.
It's so that when you're downloading that stuff, exactly, you get the point. That's how you that's how you do it. Because then the most used browser was Internet Explorer, and there was Opera.
Yeah.
And depending on the cafe you're going to, if you're going to like this old weird cafes, they still had Netscape. Netscape was more like the Safari of today, but it was like ported from Apple to Windows.
Yeah.
So you just need to make sure you have that thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how you download the trial version. And once you download it, what you do, and there's this beautiful thing about old softwares that is no longer here.
Yeah.
The old softwares were packaged, right? So they make use of installers and they package these things. Unlike compiling them, they package them. So what do I mean? When they package them, if you have things like WinRAR, or if you have like the what's it called? The 7-zip, all of those old zipping files.
Yeah.
If you right click, you unzip, and all the stored files are unzipped. Right? So once you hit the installation, what the installation actually does is it copies the files out of the installer into the repository or into the directory where you want it to be.
Yeah.
So what we do then is once we download that, you unzip it, and then you put in all the CD drives you bought because you know it's going to get dirty. So you just put in all the CD drives and you start ripping these things out. So you put in all the flash drives you have, not the flash drives, the floppy disks.
Floppy disks.
And you just copy and copy and copy.
Oh, wow.
You copy and copy and copy and copy. And you know the funny thing, floppy disk then was 1.44 megabytes. It's 1.44 megabytes. So you know how many floppy disks you need to get something working.
Yeah, I know. Like I've been like walking around with like a bag of floppy disks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must have been.
Yeah.
I guess I was like, where's Anselem going with that heavy bag of plastic? Like,
I used to have like this. I used to have like this crossing bag, and in that crossing bag, not less than 20 floppy disks, and they are all numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 20. So it's more like you have this flash drive that is maximum of, let's say, 25 megabytes, and you know for sure that if you go anywhere, you can copy something up to 20 megabytes back home.
Oh wow. That must
have
been.
It was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Yeah.
It was cool.
It was a good roughness. It was just good roughness. It was like testing. How committed are you to these things? Like, let's see. Yeah.
You know, sometimes I just kind of feel jealous. Like I just kind of feel jealous these days because not really jealous in a bad way, but like, oh my God, I wish I had this. Where people just wake up in the morning and they're like, oh, good morning, YouTube. And there's just that tutorial they've been looking for. It's waiting right there.
Thank you, Ask NK. For the tutorial.
I'm like, where was all my life?
Yeah. It is so funny because like you're saying that. And for me, I remember, I think they just released like a CS3. Adobe had just started doing these Creative Cloud things. and there was a guy who had it in Kampala, and I remember like my parents giving me like pocket money for school, and instead of like spending the money on like the things like you get was like, hey, buy like food or grabs for school. I instead said, you know what, I'm going to start this term of school, and then I spent half of that just to like get this CD with like 3ds Max 9, CS3, and Maya, and like it was all pirated stuff, but like it was just like the sacrifice of like I have everything I need. Yeah, it was just weird. Like, yeah. I'm just curious. So did you go to? I'm curious about like how did you go to school to now do animation and gaming after? Like, when did this like you deciding to go and study computer animation and gaming start for you? Like, where
so
is
what
that?
happened is what happened is when I finished my first degree as a computer science student, and within that time I already had this flair. I started off with freelancing. So I freelanced and freelanced. And one thing I found out is there is no better way to learn than actually doing. Yeah. Like you keep doing it and you get better, right? If you choose to go to a school for it, that's cool. There's a lot of curriculum support for you. Yeah. But if you don't practice, it is a problem. Yeah. So what happened was I had a couple of freelancing stuff, which was nice. Yeah. But then I got an opportunity to come over to North Cyprus, which is where I currently live. And within that time I got here, there is a program for visual arts. So I enrolled there. It was really, really nice. I mean, that's like one of the best things actually that has happened to me is going to that department. So when I went to that department, there is a huge difference, right? Yeah. Right? There's a huge difference between knowing, actually learning. Like you can know how to drive a car, but you probably didn't learn the intricacies of driving a car. Yeah. So I know how to drive it because I saw somebody that was driving it. I learned it by looking and stuff like that. But maybe there's just something there that you just don't know. So when I came here, I did a second degree. I got a BSc for visual arts, and within that time, there were things. There were a lot of things like aligning, sound, design, how to think about colors, how to stage stuff. Just a lot of things. It was just a lot of things. So I learned those things within that time. Yeah. And I guess that was when it became more of, okay, now I think I'm going to do this full time. Ah, cool. That was when it was more, Okay. So because within the time I was doing that, I guess I was more like I was more of a good asset to the department at that point, because there was a couple of projects coming in. Yeah. And I was also able to help out within that time. So, so each of the projects that was coming in, I was learning even way more stuff, because there's a difference when you're working outside and you're getting feedback from clients that has no idea what this thing is about. And then you're working in a department where these things are being taught. And the people giving you feedback are actually the people teaching you this thing. So you're learning how to align things properly, how to think about staging, how to think about layout, how to think about, all of those things, color, lighting. Yeah. I wish I had that in school. I wish I had that in school. That's just really weird. Because for me in school, I did IT, and then but I used to do a lot of like graphic design, like jobs for the university. And so the university is a client, but like at least for you sort of had like your lecturers were like also your mentors, like such a interesting way to learn. For me it was just hey man, they like it, okay, that works, cool. Yeah, it's just weird, but that's quite cool. So like, did you stay so I'm curious about how you stayed in Cyprus after for this long. So when I finished my bachelor's degree, I was already dusting my bag. I was like, hey man, I'm done. I'm going back home. And they were like, okay, slow your horses. What do you think about doing a master's now? Now, I'd already had 2 degrees. I had one in computer science, and now I just had another one. So they said masters, and I told them I'm broke.
Yeah.
I ain't got no money.
Yeah.
So they said, okay, what about if we offer you a scholarship? I was like, what?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Say, okay, so we're gonna offer you. We're gonna offer you a scholarship. You can do some more projects with us and all that. I was like, okay, I mean, I'm down for the project. That is what it means.
Yeah.
And that was how, I stayed back, did a couple more projects, and I got my master's degree. And
nice.
Within the time I was doing my master's degree, I learned something very, very crucial.
Yeah.
Never rush a project. Never rush a project.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how long. It's better to get the incomplete version of your project perfect than to rush it all the way out and not get something perfect and not get something good.
Yeah.
Now, when you're practicing, it's easier. It's better to just do like tons and tons of different unfinished works when you're practicing, when you're trying to learn something. But when you're working on a project that is being paid for, like if you're working on a paid project, don't rush it.
Okay.
Because the more you try to rush it, the more mistakes you make. I think something else I learned a lot is iteration. Iteration and feedback is something I believe a lot of people don't have.
Yeah.
That constant back and forth, have a third eye look at it, have someone else look at it, get feedback, share it with a lot of people. Don't feel too attached about it.
Yeah.
Keep an open mind. Don't feel pissed when someone says something about your work sucks.
Yeah.
That is also something I figured out at that time. So, despite the fact that I was having that full scholarship thing, the university was paying me at that point, I still learned a lot of valuable lessons, which I probably may not learn, or I would have learned them in a harder way.
Yeah. Again.
Outside the university.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was it. And when I finished,
when
I finished, I did graduate with a good grade and all that. Yeah. And just about that point was when the animation program was about to start. And so I'd already worked on some animations for the department and for the university. And I did do some animations for the country as well.
Yeah.
For North Cyprus.
Yeah.
For the government of North Cyprus. So I think that was some resume for me.
Yeah.
So when they were looking for who are we going to hire for this role.
Yeah.
I was available, and that was how I became that's how I became a senior instructor here at the university.
Nice. That's nice. That's it's like the angels were looking after you. They're just like, stay here, sir, and just like align, which is, in a sense, no, I mean, like the way you've said it feels like that, but I guess there's a lot of like ups and downs, weights, and like I'm moving, no, you're not moving, kind of vibe. But I get, but it's a really amazing story about how you, especially like the fact that it started as a curiosity thing, and then you're like, oh, I got this opportunity in Cyprus, and then like the Cyprus thing becomes like, oh wait, we still want you here. Then you're like, oh wait, here's a scholarship. Then you're like, wait, what? Then you're like, oh wait, here's a job. I'm very curious how did YouTube start for you? Like, I'm just curious. Like, I'm just going to say this. I always think like, when I hear you speak on your YouTube channel, I'm just like, I think Askanke has scripted everything because it feels rehearsed. Like, it's so precise. I'm just like, how is he doing this stuff? Like, it feels very rehearsed. And the problem that, like, and the thing is, like, you have that range. Like, you can move from like ZBrush to Blender to Maya back to 3ds Max to like some obscure like 3D program. I'm like, there's no way he knows how to use all these things. So it's like, okay, and I'm like, but like, how did YouTube start for you? Like, I'm just curious, like, how did educating, and what prompted you to start educating people on 3D applications and animation and things like that on YouTube?
Okay. So within the time I was still, a research assistant at the university, I came across several tools, several softwares. I was opportune. I think that's the right word. I was opportune to play with several softwares. Now, the thing there is a project, and the project, they need you to do something that no other app but Houdini will do it. Like, there is literally no app except Houdini that can just make this thing work. So what do? You tell them, I need Houdini. They provide you with Houdini. then you have to learn it. Now, you will have to drop some things and learn things. Now, depending on the project you're working on, you have to learn a particular part of that too. Now, I've always approached 3D softwares like driving a car. I'll probably use a car for a lot of examples. So think about it like this. If you learn how to drive a car, it is very easy for you to get into another car and learn and move.
Unless that funny thing you said Houdini, and I said unless that guy is Houdini, but like that's just also a joke for another day. Because Houdini is so hard to run. I'm just like, what's going on here? But like, yes.
So I'll explain it. It's quite easy. So the thing there is, the only difference between you, like the car you use in learning and the next car which you're driving is just understanding where several things are within that car. So maybe you learn how to drive a stick. So if you learn how to drive a stick and then you're driving an automatic, you just need to rewire your mind like, okay, so for automatic, you don't need to pull down the clutch to do this and that. You probably just need to press the engine to start. These are the one you have to put a key and start the ignition. So different ways, but it's the same thing. So how these apps work are mostly similar. They mostly have the same idea behind it, or should I say they have almost the same framework. But in a large extent, or to a large extent, most of them, they do some things better than others. So back to how the whole thing started. I played with Houdini. I played with 3D Studio Max. I played a lot with Cinema 4D, Maya, and what is it called? Some architectural software. So I played a lot with them. So Blender was just my home stuff. Like I come back home and I just play with it. So I played with this software. A lot. That to every project that came around, there's potentially a new project. There's potentially a new software to play with. So the thing that is required of me is not to give excuses. Like I just learned how not to give excuse. Right? I learned how not to give excuse. So can you make this work? And I'm like, okay, go get the documentation. So it's just been part of me. Go get the documentation, read about it, go to some threads, read about it, learn how this thing works, learn how the UI works, learn some shortcuts, get the particular thing done, then learn more than what you're supposed to just do. And see how that ties up with something else. So because I was able to do lots of these things, one of those times I was taking a course that had to do with social media. So the instructor said, everyone is required to create a social media account and this and that and that. I was like, okay, I'm just going to be sharing daily 3D tips on Instagram. And my Instagram failed. Instagram didn't feel like I didn't upload stuff. For some reason, my Instagram account was closed.
Oh, wow.
It was closed.
So,
So I complained, and this was like 1 month plus into the course. So I complained. I said, my Instagram is closed. I don't know what to do. And that. And she said, and she said, okay, why don't you just open a YouTube page? I said, a YouTube page? She said, yes. I said, what am I going to do there? She said, the same thing you do on Instagram, why not just do them on YouTube? I said, nobody's going to listen to me, So I said, no one is going to listen to me. And she said, just do it and get rid of this course. And so I was doing it initially. I was just doing it like, I just need to pass this course, man. And she saw how much I was putting that time and that effort to make sure that the video looks clean, the audio was nice. I was dedicating too much time creating artworks and she said, everyone is supposed to give me like 100 subscribers. But I need you to give me 1,000 subscribers.
Wow.
I said, what?
1,000
subscribers? She said, 1,000 views. I require like 1,000 views from everyone and 100 subscribers, something like that. But I need you to give me 1,000 subscribers. I was like, no. I can't, like, she can't do this to me. You know that rage of why am I this talented? I mean, why am I like this? I should have just been like one of these guys, just get rid of this course with 100. Like, I should be.
Yeah, but they're still giving you more things of like, like I guess that that Spider-Man quote came to you. Yeah, he who's given great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly. So she said, use all the apps. I know you use all those apps. Do you know this app? I said, yes. Do you know this one? I said, yes. Do you know this one? Do you know this one? You sculpt a lot for the department. You do this. You do this animation stuff. You do this reading. You do this one.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah. She said, make videos for all of them and put it there. You will get 1,000 subscribers. I said, oh my. So she required me to do videos every single day. And because I finished my job from the university as a full-time research assistant, I finished by 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So from 4 o'clock till 8 o'clock, I am battling to get a video down.
Wow.
So it was terrible. So at the end of the day, I got the videos, I got the subscribers, but now I was attached to the channel. Because
that's interesting.
I was now attached to the channel because to each of the videos I was putting out, people were saying things like, can you do a video about this? Can you suggest this?
Yeah.
I need you to help me with this. So it was no longer about the grades for me.
It was now just about the community and helping
others. Was about exactly. So originally, I didn't start with any intention of making money or stuff or any of that thing.
Yeah.
So it was like, even till now, I'm still wired to that idea of someone needs this, and that's why I have to make this video. Like, I beat up myself when I don't make a particular video. I'm like, but someone just missed this video. Like this video that didn't go up today.
Yeah.
Someone somewhere just scrolled through their feed and probably needed it. So that is the drive. So it became that drive, and that is how the YouTube thing started.
That's amazing. So how's it been for you so far? Like, I'm very curious about, like, if you could just share like your process. Are your stuff scripted or are you rehearsing? I'm just curious, like, just find out, because, like, as I said, I first left, like, when I come across your channel last year, I was like, how is this guy's stuff so precise? It's like you, as I said, like, it feels like you know the software in and out, even though, like, hey, they've just updated this, like, and then and it's so easy for you to, like, and also I'm very curious about, like, your process and how you sort of get around to making videos now that you do them quite often.
Yeah. So there's no trick to this. There's actually no trick to it. The thing there is, most of the softwares, I get them beforehand.
Okay.
Like recently, now I get them beforehand before they get published.
Yeah.
Despite that, most of the other ones, I write my script, or I write the full key points of what I'm supposed to address. What's the motive of this video? Why am I making this video? Who am I making this video for?
Cool.
What's the length of this video? I have to think about all of these things. And this goes for all the videos.
Nice.
And what happens there is I tried as much as possible to just keep things sane. And when I mean keep things sane, I don't want to go off point and start discussing about my family issues. What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. I was supposed to make the video yesterday, but my dog gave birth and I traveled to London. No, people are not there for that.
Yeah.
If I needed to do that, I would open a personal vlogging channel and vlog about my personal life. So I know people are there to come learn, know what's going on, and move on with their life. Everyone has a short attention span these days.
Yeah.
So I don't want to bore anyone with that. So what happens is I get those points down, and in the quickest way possible, I get that video available for anyone.
Nice.
So I get the points down. I go through the software. I make sure that the software is stable. I make sure that the mic recording is okay.
Nice.
Most times I record like 2, 3, 4 times before that final recording that comes.
Wow.
Like I record the entire thing.
So you like recording like 3 videos before the
first
first one? Before we see the one that we've seen, you've done like 3 versions of it.
Before you see the one that comes out, I probably might have recorded that video 2 to 3 times.
Wow.
Before you see the final one.
That's amazing.
Like there's that script that is there's that key point that is there. So let's say I want to talk about a scan disk 256 gigabyte.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to Asking Geek. This is a scan disk 256 gigabyte.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't like the tempo. It's not energetic.
Yeah.
So hey, what's up? Okay, it's too energetic.
Yeah.
You know. So you just have to find that balance.
Yeah.
And sometimes it becomes too lengthy, sometimes it becomes too short, sometimes it becomes, maybe it's too complex. Yeah. So how do we simplify this 8-step process so that it doesn't get up to 15 minutes?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, unless you're
things like that.
Yeah, that's amazing to find out. I'm curious about like your mindset. I'm very curious about your mindset in just like making the videos, your state of mind, like in how, I mean, you've shared that like, yeah, you know that someone out there needs the video. But I'm curious about like how you're approaching, like when you're going, like, especially right now when we're talking about things like mental health, especially within the creator community and people who make things. Yeah. I'm just curious about like outside that big cause that, someone there out needs a video about something, especially in the 3D world and the animation space. I'm just curious about like what other mind shifts are you doing as you sort of making the videos and putting them out outside that one cause, or is it just the only cause that keeps you going?
I think there's just two things I sort of think about whenever I think about the channel. Yeah. So the very first one is I'm there to serve. Yeah. That's the first one. Yeah. Which deals with the fact that someone needs it and I have to make that happen. Yeah. Another thing is I better enjoy this thing I'm doing, right? Yeah. Like I definitely have to enjoy doing it. Yeah. So if my mind is not sane, like if it's not relaxed, no video is coming out. If I'm too busy, I don't squeeze a video out.
Wow, that's amazing. Right?
So
that's nice.
There's this thing that happens like this. Maybe there's just this video that has to go up today. Like it must have to go up today. Yeah. And for some reason, I'm not stable, Yeah. Maybe I'm thinking about so many things. I have this thing to finish. I have this other one. I'm trying to finish up a letter. I'm trying to reply some emails. I'm trying to get back on, some family conversation. Yeah. And then there's that video. Yeah. So what I do is I write what I need to do for the video and keep it. I need to be mentally available to enjoy the process of making the video. Oh wow! Like if I don't feel a video, this is how I make this video. This is how I make my videos. I make the videos and I listen to them twice. Now, if there's any mistake I miss when I'm listening to that, then I probably missed it. But in most cases, once I'm done recording the video, and I listen to it again. And there's something about the audio, maybe the way I said blender, it just doesn't sit right. Yeah. You know what happens? I go back and I rewrite that entire sentence again and fix it because I need to enjoy the video the next time I watch it.
Okay, nice.
So it's not really like I make the video so I can also enjoy it, because sometimes I tell myself, what if one day out of nothing you lose all your memories and you want to get back into this stuff? Yeah.
That's really nice.
If you think about exactly, what if one day you wake up and they say, bro, you used to do this 3D thing. Yeah. Maybe you should watch your videos and get back at it. Yeah. Will I understand what I just said in this video? Yeah. So I ask myself that kind of question a lot. So if I don't, then I have to record that process again. Yeah. And do the whole thing of editing the audio, or editing the sound, editing the B-roll, making sure that the licensings are working. Yeah. And it stays within the minutes.
Nice. Now, before we're about to end the podcast, we're about to end just for those but like, I'm curious about Blender. What is your love relationship with Blender? Because as I said, like I switched to Blender because of you, but like I'm very curious about how you and Blender, your relationship is, because it seems like you really love that piece of software. I started liking it a lot, but like, I'm just curious about how it started. Like you could share just something. You can just tell me how it started. Blender, especially, but Blender, yeah.
Yeah, for Blender, I already tried out Blender. There's just something with all the softwares I think I use now, or all the softwares I know now. The first time I install any of them, I uninstall it. The reason why I do that is so I don't feel attached to them. So I uninstall it and install it back in like 2-3 days. Like the first time I installed Photoshop, I looked at the UI and I was like, I think that was Photoshop 5 or 7, the one with the glass where there's this big eye and there's this big
7. That's
magnifying glass with the eye.
7.
That should be 7, So the first time I installed it, I was like, what? Okay, I uninstalled it. First time I installed Maya, I think that was Maya 8.
With that dragon, with the red
thingy. I was like, what? with the red one. So I looked at it, I was like, what? And I uninstalled it. And the same thing with 3D Studio Max. I think the one I had then was the guy holding the world in his head or something like that. And I uninstalled it. So it's just like that with all the software. So I install them. I just look around the UI for the first time and I uninstall it. The reason why I do that is so that I don't get too attached and not move forward.
Nice.
So I do that with every single software. So I try to do that so that I can be able to say, okay, fine. Next time I'm installing you, I need to learn everything. And the funny thing is when I uninstall these apps, I try to get their help file or their documentation and I read the documentation first. Then I install it again. Or maybe I find some, now that online stuff is ready, I go online, just read about it, try to know more, and then I install it again. And this time I'm trying to learn it. So the same thing happened with Blender, but for me, it was the old version of Blender.
Okay.
The very, very old one. The one that had, not the new, not the 2.8. 2.8 is just like yesterday's baby.
Yeah.
Like the very, very old versions of Blender. Yeah. So I had it and
the one I hate.
Installed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those ones you hate.
Yeah. Interface. No, I'm sorry. Yeah,
interface was.
I think because I come from Cinema 4D, the old interface just doesn't work for me. I'm just like, guys, this does not work. Yeah.
So when I think one of the blenders I used was a very, very old one. I can't really remember the name. That was a very old one I used, and then after that, I sort of waited, and the 2.7. I think the very first 2.7 came out. And when the 2.7 came out, it was nice. I really enjoyed working with that one. Most of the things there were stable, but at the same time, I hated the UI because I was very used to Houdini, Maya, Modbox, 3D Studio Max, and the UI for that guy was so bad. And when 2.8 came out, that was it. I just fell in love with the app. The minute they fixed the UI, I fell in love with it all over again. So what happened with the 2.8 is that I finish anything I'm doing in Maya and I bring it over to Blender just for the sole purpose of rendering with Eevee.
Okay.
That was it.
Nice.
Just for the sole purpose of rendering with Eevee.
Yeah.
But then I started questioning, why do I have to model in Maya when I can just model here? Why do I have to texture? Or why do I have UV in Maya when I can UV here?
Yeah.
But then I started finding out, when you start questioning these things, that is when you start finding out what works and what doesn't work. But if you just don't question any of these things, you're like, okay, there's software I like and it's like the best software ever.
Yeah.
You would always stay in that box. So there are things I know that works far better in Maya, and I respect that. I know some things work far better in ZBrush. I respect that. The same thing with every other app. So I use Blender more because I basically just make very tiny artworks and that's it.
Oh,
But if I'm doing something like a full community, like if I'm working like on a project stuff, Blender might account to maybe like 30%, and every other software comes in. Because I might just simply use Blender for like the initial blockouts and maybe for the final rendering.
Okay.
But if it has to do with sculpting, I would definitely go to ZBrush. If it has to do with rigging and probably animation, I might probably go to Maya.
Okay.
But because most of the times, most of the things I just spend, like I work with Blender almost every day. Like there's literally no day that passes by without me opening Blender, except I'm not close to a PC.
Yeah.
I open Blender, I download the experimental branches, just play around with them almost every day. Like it's something I look forward to every single day.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's addiction, yes. Yeah. I think I'm addicted to it.
Ton and the team should just like holler and say, do you want to come and be like the Blender ambassador? I don't know. It should be it should be very interesting. So
they do have,
I beg your pardon?
Yeah, sorry. Go on.
I beg your pardon, sorry?
I was saying they do have like a whole lot of things going on. So I think that this is just, the community should just help out in any way they can.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
So should help out any way they can.
Yeah. So just to end the podcast, I usually ask the guests to share like one life lesson that they think the listeners of this episode could just like go and either apply in their lives or in their creative lives or their creative endeavors, and just like go and win at something. Yeah. So like just one life lesson that you have learned throughout your whole life, of like from your computer science days up to now being like an instructor for animation and games in Cyprus. It's just like, but just one life lesson or one or two, but like just something you think the listeners could like listen, could enjoy, or could learn. I think they should take.
I think one life lesson that I have personally experienced, and I think everybody should take, is never look down on any opportunity. Like any opportunity, no matter how small, no matter how insignificant it is. Opportunities might be people, opportunities might be occasions, opportunities might be opportunities itself, which is maybe you're there to gain something. But never look down on any of them. Don't look down on people, don't look down on favors, don't look down on options. Just keep an open mind and pray to, and pray to God to get the best out of all of the situations you're in. Like that's just it.
Cool.
That's just it.
That's a really like powerful, like especially like when like people are like sort of like assessing their opportunities a lot, you know what I mean? Like especially when people have no advantage to say no, you know what I mean? Like especially young creators who are starting out, I see how that is a thing where like they want to like get the bigger job, but then you're like, but you're just starting, like there's that opportunity right there, one just take it. They're not paying you, but it's something, when just do it. And I think that's a really like very insightful like thing to take for life, even life things. I guess it's a thing where life presents with something, just own it and take it. Well, let me thank you so much, Anselem, for your time. This has been awesome catching up with you. Let me just end this recording.